Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Doc, and today on the agenda we have the Spectacled Caiman's home. Once we get this pack, I can't wait to playtest it in this entire enclosure. Now, the enclosure itself and the habitat, or whatever you want to call it, it is all over the place. The reason for that is I did not really use a reference picture. I just did it from my head and I just made it up as I went along with the build. And a lot of things will be changing. It will be much bigger than how it starts. Here I'm just adding the mud wall. This mud wall is one of my favorite things to use, by the way, for barriers and also just natural barriers between different elevation points. You can find it on the workshop. I don't remember exactly which creator did this, but it's a creator on Planet Zoo community, published so many other things that are like this mud wall, and it's fairly simple. It's one of those tree trunk pieces that we got with the aquatic pack, if I remember correctly, and they're recolorable. They're perfect for builds like these, or any build really, and you can find it if you just type mud wall. That's how I found them, on the first or the second page. I don't remember fully because it was a few months ago. Here I'm just extending the pool, so to speak, because it was way too small. And as you guys know, with Pineland Zoo, and this build is also within Pineland Zoo, we're not only trying to adhere to Planet Zoo's standards for what animal welfare is, we're also trying to adhere to zoos, worldwide zoos and aquariums associations care standards for specific animals. I have done enough research, I think, for the Spectacled Caiman when I was making this build to really, extend the fence and make enough points for the Spectacled Caiman to bask outside in the sun, and also to go inside in colder seasons. And you're going to see that it's going to be a big building instead of just an outside habitat. Going from the beginning, I was actually just thinking of making an outside habitat. I was not actually thinking at all of making a building, and this was just going to be some framing for the windows so it doesn't look so naked. But at the end, I turned it into an entire building. On top of that, I'm really thankful for all of you who have been giving me some feedback. A lot of you said that I need to, slow down some of the videos, and I have slowed this one down a bit more than the other ones, and I hope it's not too slow. I didn't slow it down way too much, but I did slow it down, I think, enough. Now, what I do with my editing is if a build took 2 hours, 1 hour, I will of course speed it up a bit more than usual, or I have to break it up into 3-part pieces, which to me is fine, but it's not ideal, so that I can give you something new every time I upload. That's what I really want to do, so that I can inspire you guys as much as I can. Here, I'm just building like a ceiling, by the way, and this ceiling later on will be planted and will be climbable by the caiman. I just need the caiman in-game first, because not every animal in the game has the same hitbox, even if they are the same, family of animals. I was thinking maybe I could just playtest it with the Cuvier's dwarf caiman, but I cannot just rely on that when I'm building something like this. I mean, the gator, well, not the gator, but the caiman we're going to be getting is much larger than the Cuvier's dwarf caiman. That said, I don't want to playtest the dwarf caiman or the alligator, which won't be able to, it's not going to be a traversable space for it almost at all with this build. At the end, probably will be fine, but I just didn't want to risk it, you guys. So as soon as we get the pack, and I'm telling you, as soon as that pack is out, I'm going to download it, and then we're going to put the Spectacled Caiman in, and I'll give you better cinematics. There are cinematics at the end, they're just not that much. There are some really nice photos here. I'm figuring out the pathing. If you know anything about the pathing in this game, it's a pain, and I could not fill in the whole thing. And that's why I'm just going to be using some aquatic pieces. Now, yes, that doesn't look that nice, but just bear with me. It's going to look nice at the end. I promise you. When I was building this, by the way, I was just looking up some true crime documentaries. I have so many other videos also lined up for you guys, and some of them I really built when I was, listening to true crime. What do you do when you build like very long builds on Planet Zoo? Please let me know, because usually what I do is either I watch Kendall Ray, one of my favorite creators ever on YouTube, when it comes to true crime, and I just build away because her videos are like, 1 hour, 2 hours long. Or if I really want to be inspired, I open up an entire documentary. So let's say I'm building a lion habitat. I'll either watch the entirety of Lion King or I'll go open up National Geographic Channel and hope that there's a lion documentary on there. And that just, to me, brings a lot of inspiration. What do you guys do for inspiration and spending time when you're building with this game? Let me know in the comments down below. Here, I'm just figuring out some of the landscape and how I'm gonna make this look nice, because it is a very weird building. As I said, things do change at the end, not completely, but there are a lot of aspects that kind of move around and change, because this building is, at least to me, even though it will look pretty square at the end, rather complicated because it has a lot of diagonal pieces. Even the viewing gallery itself, it's very circular, but also from the back it's, you know, square so that it looks more modern. You'll see in the screenshots, once it's colored and done, it looks much better. But for this time around, it doesn't look perfect. Like at the moment, you might be like, okay, what is he building? It doesn't look that nice, but just wait. Just be patient with it. I might speed up this video a bit more actually, and when you are watching this, it's not going to be as slow as it is to me at the moment. At the moment, this entire speed build is like 14 minutes to me, but I will lower it down a bit. And it will still be slower than the last few videos, because even though I said I didn't slow it down that much, it's way too slow for my liking. I cannot speak this long. I don't prepare scripts for all the videos. I was thinking though, in the near future, I will be making a series of videos where I will be, again, building habitats, tell you what the agenda is, what we're doing for the day, give some building tips, but at the same time, I will be giving some fun facts about the animals that I really love, because this is something that I really love about this community, that this community also really loves to learn about new animals and, you know, just education overall. I feel like with the Planet Zoo community is much higher than some other game communities I'm in, where people just want to enjoy the game and they don't really mind the lore, or with lore I mean Dark Souls, but where they don't really mind what the biology or, like, you know, the real facts about the animals in the game are. In this game, however, almost everyone I ever met love the animals. This is the top area. Now, the thought about that planted area, does not yet have any way for the crocodilians to go up there and chill. But once we get the pack, we're gonna go back, visit this build, and put the Spectacled Caimans in, see how much traversable space they have, and based on that, we're going to build them a really nice, you know, lifted up sleeping area. They will also maybe have a balcony, depending on their space requirements. Now, if you know anything about Planet Zoo, is that the animal space requirements are very large. That said, most of the time, if you want to go very realistic, your animals will not be happy unless you turn off animal welfare. I don't like turning that option off at all. It's just my playing style. I do not turn that off. And that's why we might have to extend it, but there's enough space around it and there's enough room around it to expand it without breaking up the building. So that's going to be fine. We're going to do that in a Let's Play maybe. And here is the way that I'm just trying to make sure that that little, you know, part that sticks out of the building still looks nice. Initially, I thought it could be like a little bird nest idea, because I've seen that happen at some zoos where they would build stuff like that for birds to nest in. But then I said, we're not doing that. I don't like really weird or big gaps in any of my builds. I like more clean looks. Even that underneath gap, I only left it because there are windows there, and I'm keeping the windows even though they're in the shadow. I think it's necessary. I'll put some lights there at some point and it's going to look really nice. And here I'm just framing the flat roof. Now, I would always suggest, if you have the North Africa pack, I think that's what this comes with, or maybe they just uploaded it for the whole game, use these thin plaster pieces that you can just move around. I mean, they're 4 meters. We don't have small versions of these, unfortunately, but they're perfect for framing roofs and windows and whatnot. They're awesome for it. Now, here I'm framing the heck out of this entire thing because it just looks nicer. Otherwise, it's going to look very plain, and it's not the look that I'm going for. This is what I meant when I said I'm making this entire thing up as I go. Now, the inside, the interior is almost done, which brings me to talk about one more thing. about the upcoming videos on Pineland Zoo. Now, my computer has been lagging a lot, you guys. I cannot play Pineland Zoo with the animals in it. I cannot build if the animals are in there, so I put all the animals into the trade center for now, and there are no animals in the zoo as I'm building this entire build because there are just way too many of them. At least for my CPU, it is the use of my CPU has been 100% all the time, especially if you're recording with the software I record with. It takes a lot of CPU power, and the game itself was also very CPU heavy. That said, I cannot take very nice cinematics all the time. We will do a tour of the zoo at some point, see how that goes. But worst case scenario though, don't be worried. I will just ask one of my friends, my dear friend Lighter will help me most likely with because I've asked him this before and he had no problem with it, and he's an awesome person in this community. He made a whole DLC of realistic animal feeders. You probably know of him. He is awesome at piece builds and he uses so many pieces in his buildings, guys. It's insane. But long story short, I will get the cinematics somehow. At the end of this video, there are really nice cinematics. We just don't have any gators or caimans or salties to put in this habitat, and I'm not going to put any because it's just no. I just want this habitat to be only used by the new caimans that we're getting. I don't want them to get a second-hand used habitat. They're gonna get this first-hand villa on their own, baby. Okay, here I got carried away. Here I'm just putting the ivy, and the build is about to be over actually. Now, the other part that I'm working on is kind of like a shade for the outside, but at the end I'm going to delete this because it just doesn't look nice. It doesn't look the way that I want it to look. It just is a bit disruptive. So I did erase it at the end. But you guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and please keep giving me feedback. I really appreciate every single feedback and every single comment you make. I do take everything into consideration. I do read every single comment. And thank you so much for sticking with me and, liking this game as much as I do, and sharing my enthusiasm with this game, because it has been an amazing feeling to see people actually look at my builds and be inspired and tell me that they built something similar, or send me on my Velocidoctor Instagram things like, yeah, look at this build and stuff like that. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think of this entire habitat, and this is the cinematic I was talking about. It's not much, but it looks very calm, and I can't wait to put the animals in here. And enjoy! See you next time. Bye for now.